perfect. Everything starts with his aggressiveness getting to the basket, and he did that early and often. And then he found a rhythm from outside, and that's how it's going to be. And that's the change he's made, and all credit to him in the last few games. Like, he knows now, instead of looking from the outside in, he wants to start his game from the inside out. And he's a incredibly explosive downhill player, and when he's playing like that, there's no one that can stand in his way.
These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
And welcome into a Reckless Speculation Thursday. Phil out gallivanting at the B job, so it is Zolgad, Declan Goff, executive producing as always, and our guy, the star of Reckless Speculation Thursday, Darren Doogie Wolfson, Channel 5 Eyewitness News, also, of course, the Score North Scoop podcast. What is going on, sir?
Good morning, Judd. Hello, Declan. Happy Reckless Speculation Thursday, Judd. It's good to see you in the studio. We do celebrate.
We all celebrate. Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Reckless Speculation.
Happy Veterans Day, by the way, to all the veterans out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so Chris Finch. We'll start with the good and then quickly work our way to the bad from last night. Wolves lose to Golden State 123-110. The good is this. Ant Edwards continues to progress and show us at times the development. Last night, 48 points, 16 of 27 shooting, some beautiful drives. The fact that he, I think a week ago, expressed frustration about, I'm the only guy going to the basket, and then went to the basket last night, Dukes, and post-game said, I sounded like a loser in saying that. Like I was whining, and I know I was. Which I love. Like that is, if that's the truth, I love that. But what did you take from the fact that Ant went into an arena of a very good team, had nearly 50 points, and meanwhile, Karl Anthony Towns, not a great night, 19 points.
It is really hard to have a player on your team score 48 points and for you to lose by double digits, to lose by 13. Like the Wolves did last night. Oh, by the way, Draymond Green missed a good portion of last night's game. I told you on Tuesday, somebody in the league that I trust, that gives me a lot of good information, good knowledge. He knows a ton of people. He has worked in the league for a really long time, texted me on Monday, and he said, hey, the Wolves' losing streak at that point was... 4 or 5?
4.
He said, when will the Wolves next win a game? I said, well, what about this Memphis game? He said, no. Like, you're underselling how hard Memphis plays. We saw that on display the other night. We both said, okay, you're not winning at Golden State. Could you find a way Friday night if LeBron James remains out? Maybe, although the Lakers found a way last night to beat Miami. Now, Jimmy Butler went down early in that game with an ankle injury, but nonetheless, to find a way to beat a really good Heat team. I'm not quite sure you're winning on Friday at Staples Center. Could you beat the Clippers Saturday at Staples Center? I suppose maybe Phoenix here Monday. Okay, Sacramento is here next Wednesday. The Spurs are here late next week. Those two might be the opportunity. So we might be looking at, so right now, what is it, Declan? Is it a 6-game losing streak? Were they 3-1?
Yeah, they were 3-3.
Now they are 3-7?
Yep.
Okay, so 6-game losing streak. This may ultimately be like a 9-game losing streak. Okay, lose Friday, 7, Clippers 8, Phoenix 9. You may have a 9-game losing streak heading into that Kings game. Middle of next week.
Yeah.
And Anthony Edwards is not a loser for being the guy in the team that is willing to absorb some contact to attack the rim.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Anthony. And I mean...
No, but what he was saying is what I said last week sounded like a loser's lament. And now, I realized...
I don't think it's loser's lament when you're being a realist.
I was... Right, but I love somebody on this team who's not pouting. That's my point. I love somebody on this team who said, I was pouting, and that's BS. I'm going to go out and have a good game. Because, I'll correct myself. Cat last night, Dukes, 17 points, not 19. He was 6 for 19 shooting. And then there were the complaints about, again, well, the officiating, I didn't get to the line. And you know what? Maybe he didn't. Who gives a crap? Anthony Edwards scored 48. Find a way. Find a way to...
His post-up game is pretty much non-existent, Cats.
Yeah. Is that because he's lost too much weight? What the hell happened there?
Well, I mean he is
slight weight-wise.
He is in incredible shape just for normal life. But basketball life, playing the 5 position?
Correct.
Can you be only 240 pounds?
Doesn't look like it.
I don't think so.
Does it?
Yeah, and I thought that at the time. I brought that up in numerous conversations with Gerson Rosas on the record, on background throughout the summer. I'm like, and I didn't want to come out and, be strong opinion guy and say, Gerson, I don't get it. I was trying to frame the question where the listener could insinuate that, okay, that's what I'm alluding to without being a complete
twist things.
You know what?
But I mean, you were trying to get him to go down your path by doing your thing.
Yes.
I sort of like that.
To some extent,
I
yes.
appreciate that.
But I never understood it. Like, do you need to start making calls if you're such and he has made calls, but like I look at Indiana absolutely is ready to make some sort of trade. Now, maybe it's a couple weeks out, but look at Indiana's record.
Mm-hmm.
Portland has to do something at some point sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Boston is said to be making phone calls. Tibbs last night benched his entire starting 5 for the fourth quarter. Milwaukee still down Chris Middleton. Milwaukee goes into the Garden, blows out the Knicks, although the Knicks made a run there in the fourth quarter, but the end result was double digits.
Sure.
Could you somehow pry Mitchell Robinson out of New York? These are just ideas hitting me, but those look like teams ready to do something. New York, Indiana, Boston, Portland. And, oh, by the way, you're still maintaining some sort of dialogue with Philadelphia, even though I've told you for a couple weeks now, it's been a while. Like Sachin initially reached out when he was, elevated, but really there hasn't been much dialogue. And he has a really good relationship with Daryl Morey. They work together in Houston. But Sachin really hasn't reached out on a regular basis to Daryl. But I think you still need to. But it still comes down to, look at this Wolves roster.
Wait for it, Doogie.
Reckless speculation.
Okay, let's just explore this all.
But look at the roster. If
I know.
you're
That's
Indiana,
what I'm saying.
if you're Boston, are you
Dex
yearning?
is excited too.
Are you yearning for Malik Beasley, who can't make a shot right now?
But okay, 3-team trades, get creative, what I'm saying is, I think we all said, stupid us and me in particular, after the 3-1 start, hey, let's give this some time. This team looks galvanized. This team looks tight. This team looks like it has some cohesiveness.
The Miami trip, right? Kumbaya.
Let's see,
Yeah.
I mean...
Maybe the Bahamas trip a couple years ago didn't work, but that Miami trip in September.
They're all gathered at center court. I like this. All hands in, all hands on deck. Okay.
Raised by Wolves.
Yeah, exactly. Raised by Wolves, which they just stole right from us when they thought that we were going down, but we didn't go down. We came back. So... what can be done now? Where are you in particular? Not just throwing out names, Dukes. Where are you looking? What positions are you exploring the most right now? And who are you trying to? Because you're right. You're not just going to say, well, take Malik Beasley, and a team goes, oh, that's great. What are you looking to do if you're Gupta to get creative here? Because, this could be the difference between he gets the job and he doesn't get the job.
Yes. Now, you're talking me personally?
I'm saying, what should Sachin be doing?
Okay.
You follow this league and this
because
team.
I'll tell you what I would do.
Okay.
I'm okay with them losing because this is another stacked draft come June at the very top.
Okay.
Chet Holmgren, a kid from Duke, who Sachin Gupta, by the way, was at Madison Square Garden on Tuesday to scout in person. There's some kids at Memphis. This is a very good draft come June to have a top 3, top 5 type pick. Now, no guarantees. You could end up with the worst record and end up at pick 5. But again, and I know Wolves fans don't want to hear this, but with this core, maybe at best you're the 10 seed. And I said preseason I thought they would make the play-in tournament. In that 9-10 range, I said they would go slightly over the Vegas over-under win total of 34.5. Not significantly over, but I thought, 35, 36, 37, they can get there. But really, where are you going with this core? So I would explore blowing this thing completely up, building around Anthony Edwards. There is no sense they are willing to do that. So if you're Sachin Gupta, you have the fourth youngest roster in the league. You have the smallest roster in the league. You clearly need front court help, veteran help. Myles Turner, guys of that ilk. Those are the guys I would be pursuing right now. But I'm telling you, Judd, if you're Indiana, look at the Wolves roster. Who the heck do you want? Now, if you're looking for some salary relief, okay, Taurean Prince is an expiring contract. Jake Lamb is an expiring contract. Patrick Beverley is an expiring contract. If you wanted to go that route, if you want a future protected first-round pick, because I don't think you're giving up an unprotected first, although you probably would have to for Myles Turner. But I don't know if the Wolves would do that. But I'm just saying, if you're Kevin Pritchard in Indiana, who exactly appeals to you here? That is the hurdle. It's not like these Wolves guys have a whole lot of value, Declan.
And I get it that there's some value in the absolute crapper right now, but Dukes, as someone who has been a Wolves fan from afar for the better part of the last 16 years, and obviously rightfully so, considering how they've played, but I do want this team to be successful. I can't stand the narrative, and me being a hockey guy at the state of hockey. Well, when basketball's good in this town, it's better than hockey. It's just as good, maybe.
There
just
are more
as good
basketball
as hockey.
fans.
Yes.
I'm just telling you, Declan.
100%.
Here in the metropolitan area, there are more
100%.
basketball fans
And
than
I love
hockey
that.
fans.
And I want them to be served, so I completely understand that. But where I don't want to start doing is continuing going down the path of more draft lottery picks,
That's
more
fair,
lottery, more
because
lottery,
you're not guaranteed
more lottery.
anything. I get it.
And
I completely get
I'm
it.
sick of that. So if at this point, if you're 3-6 and you've lost 5 in a row and you have another daunting schedule, figure out a way to get Ben Simmons. And I know I can't just say, hey, go do it, right? Because it's complicated. Get a third team involved. Salary's tough, but at this point, I'm pushing all the chips in and I'm getting Ben Simmons.
Well, when you're saying you're pushing all the chips in,
Yeah.
how many future first-round picks are you giving up?
2.
Are you willing to give up 3?
I give up 2 or 3.
Well, I mean, that's a big difference. Are you
Right.
willing to give up 3?
I'd give up 3, yes.
I think there might
I would do
be
3.
a semi-logical path to acquiring him if you're willing to give up 3. Now, are you willing to give up 3 plus Jaden McDaniels?
Yes.
Plus potentially Leandro Bolmaro?
Yes.
Okay.
The core players on this team and my core players are Anthony Edwards. We'll figure it out everywhere else. And I know you still need players and you need players in your rotation, but I give up all those guys to figure out a way to get Ben Simmons.
If you had a core 4
Right.
of Simmons, Towns, Edwards, Russell,
right,
you are going to do something
Hell yeah.
with that. You absolutely are. Now, what's the ceiling? Is
Right.
Cat truly a winning player? Is Russell a winning player? Can you ascend all the way up to the top 4, top 5 in the conference? That's a different conversation. But are you like a top 8 team? For sure, a top 10. Top 8?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. I think
Probably.
Ben Simmons is that much of a difference maker.
yeah.
Okay, here's my next question.
But you would really be going all in on
Reckless
something like that. If you're giving up 3
speculation.
future first-round picks,
100%. Just do it.
I'm going to go more in. I'm going to.
Oh, God.
Declan's in the deep end. I am now going into the ocean of. Can't play enough.
Reckless speculation.
Is Karl Anthony Towns a winning player? Is Karl Anthony Towns somebody who you should look to still build around? Because the reality is his contractual situation is, again, going to have to be addressed, Dukes, sooner rather than later. Is he a winning player? And is he... So when Declan says, the first name from his mouth, and he's probably right, is Ant. Is Karl Anthony Towns a long-term solution to the problem here? And I don't mean just a good player. I mean a solution to the problem, and we all know what the problem is. The problem is this team's been awful for a long time.
I can make a case that Cat being the 1B, the Robin, to Ant's Batman, to Ant being the 1A, can be a really good fit. That Cat doesn't necessarily need to be the alpha. Now, his track record suggests he is not a winning player. He's got as unique a skill set as pretty much we've ever seen for a player of that height. Right? I mean, Kevin Durant's about the same height, but it's a very unique skill set, right? Like, there's not many guys that can do what he can do at 7 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I think there are legitimate questions
But, I mean,
about
would
whether you can really win paying him max money,
Right.
having him eat up that much of your cap. Now, if you end up trading Cat, you're not attracting free agents here. Now, if you're the only team with salary cap space, yeah, maybe. Now, Are teams looking to dump contracts? Can you acquire assets that way? Can you go the Oklahoma City route, acquire a bunch of draft picks? But really, what's the end goal there? They've been down that path enough here. Mm-hmm. So it's a complicated conundrum. It really is.
Okay, so
to answer your question,
yeah,
there is not evidence to suggest, yes, Cat, winning player.
So right now, you are not Sachin Gupta. You are the Wolves' new Pobo. I just hired you it is your job to come in and examine every facet. Front office, basketball operations for sure, Chris Finch, and most importantly, probably the roster. What are you looking to do with Cat? Because my guess is your first determination is Ant is a star player. Like, Ant's going to be great. You're not going to trade him. What are you? So,
well, I would have messed up, by the way, from the get-go, because I was on record saying I would have taken James Wiseman.
I know, but I just hired you now.
I've got Ant. Okay, I just got the job.
You just got Ant. So what are you doing as far as your assessment when it comes to, probably most importantly to start with, Karl Anthony Towns and D'Lo?
I would probably call Brad Stevens in Boston and say, all right, you want Cat? Will you give me Jaylen Brown plus more? Now, admittedly, I love Jaylen Brown.
Right, but
I'm a huge Jaylen Brown fan.
So that's fine.
That would probably be my first phone call. And I'm not doing Cat for Jaylen and filler. I need a little bit more there and probably more immediate help, not draft pick type help. Would you give me also Robert Williams, who's a good young big man? I mean, that might be a lot for Boston. But I think it would take that sort of package to pry Cat out of here. I mean, if you truly made Cat available, I can just tell you, Dallas would come calling. Phoenix would come calling.
Yeah, they should.
I'm positive Leon Rose and the Knicks would come calling. I do think Boston would come calling. And I'm sure I'm leaving out 3, 4, 5 teams. But those teams for sure. Does DeAndre Ayton of Phoenix do anything for you? Plus more. But if DeAndre Ayton was the centerpiece of a return for Cat, would that do?
You tell me. It's your job, not mine.
I guess I need to know what else is coming my way.
Okay.
I would be open-minded, though. I would put feelers out there just to get a sense of what I could get in return. But Jaylen Brown would be my number one target. He really would.
Reckless speculation. I'm getting chills right now. This is great.
So I'd love for it to work here, though.
Yeah.
Like, I do think there's a genuineness to Cat saying, I'm forever indebted to the Saunders family, that I do want to win here. I think deep down he really does want to win here. I do think that's legit. He's been through a lot. I would like to see him win here. I'd like to see him once again be an all-NBA type player. Get another max extension. Max out his earning potential. I'm fine with that. But at this point, there just is not enough evidence to suggest this core is going to carry you where you want to go.
Doogie, if they continue to lose games, I mean, how quickly though does Cat finally say, "All right, enough is enough. I'm sick of this. I do want out." Like, is that a logical destination that he wants out by January when we start getting more closer to trade deadline?
I don't think it happens in season. Yeah, I don't think it happens in season, Declan. Maybe next summer. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it happens in season. Because
we had Dane on, our friend of the show, Dane Moore, on earlier this week, and I mean, you have to start that extension talk again with him next summer, mm-hmm. right? So like, it's basically put up or shut up over these next 70 games if they're actually going to do something.
Yeah, but you can always extend him and trade him. It's not like,
sure.
I mean, that's a great enough asset. You can extend him next summer. Mm-hmm. You could still trade that contract. It's not like that's an untradeable contract. Right. That's not John Wall's contract.
No, oh God, no.
Something of that nature. So you can always trade him. So you can extend him. Then, if next season gets off to a bad start, next December, next January, have those trade talks.
Doogie, back to Myles Turner, though, is that more of a logical path that doesn't involve you giving up the farm? Like, you wouldn't have to sell the farm to get Myles Turner? Like, what would be
he's a good player. Declan, he's a good player.
Yeah, he's a good player.
I'm pretty darn sure you'd have to give up at least one future unprotected first. Okay. I think he's good enough where you have to give that up. But then what money are you making it work with? Mm-hmm. I don't see Indiana's need for Malik Beasley. I don't see it. Are you giving up Jaden McDaniels plus a future first-round pick unprotected for Myles Turner? I guess it depends on what you think Jaden McDaniels' ceiling is.
Right.
I mean, he's not playing well right now.
No.
Fouls are down, Judd, across the league.
Not for Jaden.
His aren't.
But not for him.
he's got 4 before he basically touches the court.
He missed a couple layups last night, but so often he's stuck in the corner. I think there's a lot more there with Jaden McDaniels, but
they're not maximizing it right now.
If they're not going to maximize it, but I mean, do you make him available? Because there's enough interest in him across the league. That I can tell you.
My problem with that is I don't think that they've maximized it, but I have not given up hope on Chris's Finch ability to do so. I'm just saying that we're going down a path again, gentlemen, that seems to be very familiar and tiresome. And I look at what transpired the last 6 games and last night in particular, and I look at Cat, and I just keep thinking, is this a winning player? Like, he's a great talent. I'm not doubting his talent one, but is this a winning player? Is this a player that I mean, I know he says what he thinks is the right thing, but he's done that for a long time. But there's a difference between saying it and being dedicated to it. And I can't tell sometimes if he really believes what he's saying. With Ant, I buy it. Like with Ant, I buy him.
I know what you're saying.
Like when Ant talks,
I know what you're saying.
Ant is being genuine to Ant. Which is why a week ago he was complaining, and then he came back and said, I really shouldn't have complained. I appreciate that. Carl sits at a microphone and gives you a litany, chapter and verse of things, and I know that we in the media appreciate that. But I don't know.
Yeah, but we can read between the lines on some things.
I think
he's being genuine about the Saunders stuff. But
no,
I know what you're saying. Some of the other things, I leave some of those news conferences or media day, and I'm like, huh?
Exactly.
And so I know what you're saying. Let me play devil's advocate.
Okay.
If you put Cat on the Nuggets with that surrounding cast, are the Nuggets close to the same, or is Nikola Jokic far and above that they wouldn't be that good? Or if you put Cat in Philadelphia, if you took Embiid off and surrounded Cat with those players.
Yep.
And I'm not saying 100%. I'm just trying to play a little devil's advocate.
No, I appreciate that.
But I'm just saying, if you put Cat on one of those rosters, so how much of it is just the constant change of the guys around him over the last 7 years?
I'll go first and then Dex. I don't think that either. Well, Embiid's hurt. Or hurt a lot. Let's go to Denver, because that's a perfect one. If you take Jokic off the Nuggets roster and put Cat on, I think Cat's box score is phenomenal. Like, I think he puts up great stats. I don't think they're as good of a team. I really don't. Because, Dex, I haven't seen personally. When's the last time that, besides him going off and just, individually having a great game, when's the last time you saw a real stretch where you're like, oh my God, like he is beginning to assert himself as a guy who is taking over consistently, and he's wired the way that you want a player to be, which I think Ant is. So I think the nastiness that Jokic brings and his style of play, Dex, I think the Nuggets are a worse team record-wise, team-wise, with Cat. That doesn't mean his stats wouldn't be good.
Yeah, if you took off Jokic and placed him with Cat, I think that Denver team's still pretty solid. I mean, Denver's the blueprint. Right? Like, Denver is what you want the Timberwolves to turn into.
Remember, they played Denver in the play-in.
Beat them.
And beat them. And Denver decided at that time, let's just stick it out.
Yeah.
Because some people said, okay, Denver, you underachieved this year. You were supposed to be a playoff team. Yeah, you got to game 82, but you lost to Target Center. Yeah, we need to blow this thing up. And Denver said, no, let's keep going here. And they chose wisely.
And Jamal Murray's still a good player. They've supplemented their roster. Will Barton's a good player. Aaron Gordon's a good player.
Well, I mean, they beat Indiana last night. Jokic suspended, Jamal Murray out, and then Will Barton pops for 30.
Right. So they have good enough players, I think, around them where they'd be fine. I don't think they'd be as good, but Denver, the way they've constructed their roster is the blueprint of what the Timberwolves should be able to do, right? Like, that is, I think, the end goal is you want to be the Denver Nuggets.
Or I'll give you another blueprint. What about the Chicago Bulls? So a guy Gerson knows well. They worked together in Houston. Their new GM, who came, I believe, from Denver, but he was in Houston previously. And so he takes over, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago?
I think a year and a half. I think that's
There's
right.
only 2 players on the roster right now. from when
Zach
he
Levine.
took over. Yeah, and Zach's one of them.
Yeah.
He blew that whole thing up.
Yeah.
And
And they're
it
good.
helps to have salary cap room, right? When you can sign Lonzo Ball, when you can sign DeMar DeRozan, or DeMar was a sign and trade, but you have that flexibility to make those sorts of roster moves. You know, you make the Vucevic trade, you give up a couple future first-round picks. You gave up Wendell Carter Jr., who has a chance. He just got a $60 million extension.
Right.
You know, so Chicago had some pieces in place to be able to make some of those moves, but it happened pretty fast.
Right.
But Chicago's going to be a playoff team.
that's
I don't think this start is a fluke.
But that's my point about Cat Dukes is you're constructing a team here, not a rotisserie league baseball team or a fantasy league basketball team. You're constructing a real life team here, and that's what I want somebody to be able to do. Case in point, Bill Guerin. Bill Guerin's constructed a team. Like that roster is a team. They've had stars before, or star power. I shouldn't say stars. They've had nice players before, but they didn't mesh, they didn't fit, and therefore became this, well, why can't they win more? Why can't they advance in the playoffs? And the reason was because it was a lot of individuals. And that's where I ask questions about Cat, because basketball is, I get it, an individual sport in some ways, but you also need to construct a team. And the Beverly trade I liked because of that. Like, I think he brings probably some intangibles they lacked.
Yes, but would you have just been fine keeping Ricky Rubio?
No. And I know he put up a great game Sunday, scored, a career high or something like that. I know that.
Well, I told you, by the way,
But no,
preseason,
I
the
wasn't.
narrative of Ant's all upset that Ricky's gone. Sure, Ricky was one of his guys. Ant was always going to be okay.
Right. And most
And
guys
I'm
are.
with you. I like Bev. I do.
Yeah, but that's where I think that it's important, and that's why I asked about Cat, because if Cat's just going to be an individual guy who could put up great statistics and has this great skill set, but it doesn't pay off for the team, at some point in time, that's just repeatedly banging your head against the wall. Now, I'm not saying I would trade him immediately, but I do think that you have to, as you explore this roster, you have to at least look at who does what here and what do they bring and why does this happen? 3-1 start. What, last year, Dukes, 2-0, right? I think the year before that, same thing. And then they go into these great declines.
Well, and yeah, I mean, the finish last year, right? Above 500 over the final 16 games.
Exactly.
If you believe in momentum, which I really don't, but some people had suggested, okay, they'll carry that momentum into this year. Okay, maybe they did for the first 4 games.
Yep.
Favorable schedule, very favorable schedule, but, jump out to the 3-1 start. It's top of mind because they just played Golden State last night. And at the time, I said, I get it, like to dump the Wiggins contract, you probably had to attach a future first-round pick, even if you're taking back all that money in D'Angelo Russell. Mm-hmm. But typically, to move a contract like that, you need to give up a future first-round pick. But like, if you could go back and reverse that trade, and I'm telling you, I'm not convinced Sachin Gupta would have made that trade.
Yeah, you've told me that before.
And so was that kind of, not the beginning, but how does that factor in? Like, how nice would it have been to have a top pick this past draft? Mm-hmm. Imagine if you had climbed up and gotten Evan Mobley. I don't know how much you've watched of Evan Mobley, the rookie for Cleveland. Oh, man, would he be a fit next to Cat?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of what ifs and a lot of luck that's involved in such a scenario. But, that's just another one that's top of mind after watching the Warriors last night. If you go back and reverse that trade, you probably would.
Vikings, what's going on with Michael Pierce and Anthony Barr?
Michael Pierce not expected to play on Sunday at LA. So that means he will now have missed 5 consecutive games, no IR move.
Yep.
Now, I do think deep down, Rick Spielman didn't feed us a bunch of BS bye week when he suggested we think he can be back for this Dallas game. And so the fact that not only did he miss the Dallas game and the Baltimore game, but now he'll miss the Chargers game. And you've alluded to the idea that he is going to eventually need surgery, but can they put the brace on, make it work that way? But just very, very unfortunate. Anthony Barr, I had somebody reach out to me yesterday morning when I heard the Pierce news saying, you know what, Barr's unlikely for Sunday. Now, it turns out the injury report says he didn't practice on Wednesday, knee injury. I need a little bit more information on on that front. Now, if he doesn't practice today,
yeah, he won't play.
He won't play on Sunday, but I need a little bit more there. But that knee clearly is an issue. Another Vikings note, so Harrison Smith test positive for COVID on Sunday morning. So the Wolves had to fly him back here on a medical jet.
That's how the Wild got their guys back too.
Yeah, and I'm told the Wolves weren't real thrilled having to cut that check to pay for that airplane. I heard $25,000, $25,000.
One way too.
One way.
So I mean, just a lot of stuff going on there. Just a lot of stuff. Even in just the last 2 weeks. I know it's not quite 2010.
Yeah.
But man, there's been a lot of things.
And what Mike said that a player had to go to the hospital because of COVID a couple nights ago. The reports are that was Dakota Dozier, who's been primarily on the practice squad. And what now? 29 people were deemed to be close contacts, so they're all being tested on a daily basis.
Now, they have the rapid testing right there on their TCO Performance Center campus. So I think we would have gotten wind based on the NFL transaction report if another guy or two was added to the COVID list. I think we would have found that out at 3 o'clock yesterday. So seemingly they are in the clear, but I'm sure they'll do some more testing today. So we'll keep an eye on that. As far as Dakota goes, at least one person close to him said he hadn't gotten back to me. And so there's some concern.
He was in a hospital.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
and Zim said, stable condition, but
yeah, but that's still scary.
Man, yeah.
That means you can't breathe so well.
Yeah, he's vaccinated.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and so for Sunday's game, we expect what? Harrison Smith will be out.
Harrison Smith out.
Do we
Patrick
know Bradbury?
Peterson out.
Yep. Do we know on Bradbury yet?
You know what? We were at practice yesterday, and I forgot to tell our photojournalist to look at the center position.
He was vaxxed,
now, it was more a walkthrough yesterday.
Sure, but he was vaxxed, so that means that he had it, which means he might not play, but I think
I will check on that. Apologies for not having that intel. I'll also add, though, Mason Cole played well enough that just ride with Mason Cole, but I will check on Bradbury. But, yeah, for sure, Patrick Peterson still on injured reserve. No Harrison Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Anthony Barr, iffy at best. Michael Pierce, out. Oof.
It's just the Chargers.
Yeah, just the Chargers.
It's just Herbert. I mean, come on. It's just it's
now they don't stop the run.
Peasy. They don't stop the run.
They're really bad against the run.
Speaking of that, Dalvin Cook. So the reports that I have seen said that because this is a civil suit filed against him, and it's some disturbing accusations, but they're not. It's not a criminal charge. That the league is going to monitor this, but nothing changes in Cook's status for now. So just as far as from a football standpoint, he can continue to practice and play unless something changes with the actual case itself, correct?
Accurate.
Okay.
And you're right. I mean, if you read the 18-page lawsuit, I mean, some of the accusations being made are, disturbing is an understatement.
And he says he's the victim, and so it's a he said, she said.
It very much is a he said, she said. And sure, the Dalvin side tried to get out in front. David Valentini was readily available.
He's one of the best in town.
I know my colleague. Yeah. I mean, if you're in trouble,
Fred Smoot, Love Boat.
Yeah,
he's
one of the first phone calls I'd make. Yeah, Valentini would be my guy in that regard. But yeah, I know my colleague Joe Schmidt had a lengthy conversation with him the other night. There's been some efforts to track down the woman. Her attorney made her available to the Star Tribune, correct? I believe Rochelle Olson.
And she's overseas right now, I believe.
So, that complicates things. But, yeah, it's very much, at this point, a he said, she said situation. But it adds to the list of just, we joke all the time. When Mike Zimmer wants to write the book, just imagine all the crap in that book.
And the stuff we don't know.
Since 2014 and the stuff we don't know. Correct.
Norv Turner. I want the Norv Turner story.
Well, so that's why he may never write the book, right? Because there's some stuff damning against him.
I still want it.
But, it's just, there are a lot of stuff that haven't been out there. There's some stuff we hear, too, that, it's not sourced to the point of running with it, but, we feel relatively confident about it. Just some stuff that would definitely be if that book is ever written.
Absolutely. Twin scoops.
Well, one other note, by the way, Rick Spielman is on the press box seating list for tonight's Pitt UNC game. there's 2 more really good draft-eligible quarterbacks
Assuming he's going to be
that he needs to watch.
doing the drafting for the Vikings in April of 2022.
You know what, though? I mean, if you're him, I mean, I get it. Have fun with it all you want. But, work your ass off until you're told otherwise,
yeah,
right?
of
And
course.
so,
Yes.
My motto.
deep down, should be all our mottos.
Way to go, Dex.
He's a scout at heart, and so so he's scheduled to be at that game tonight on the Twins front. So you've got Derek Falvey, Thad Levine, and Adler. So it's a 3-headed monster in Carlsbad, California for the GM meetings. They were in on Andrew Henne, who signed with the Dodgers. I told you that on Tuesday. He gets 1 year, $8 million and change, but the Twins, I'm told, made a competitive offer. Performance bonuses would have gotten it close to that. They did not offer quite that in guaranteed money, but they're trying to do some things. I'm told they were trying to line up a meeting with Byron Buxton's representation out there, so they want to restart some of those extension talks. Good. Clearly, they are talking trade with other front offices. They are meeting with a number of agents of free agents. So they're doing some things. There's a good free agent pitcher out there meeting with some teams. Steven Matz, former Met, former Blue Jay. I'm told as of last night he has not met specifically with the Twins. You also had a little bit of Justin Verlander steam from earlier in the week, I know.
Yes, there were, I believe, 15 to 20 teams that attended a pitching session he did in Florida, in which it was brief, and the Twins were among those teams. So,
brief but brilliant. I mean, I don't know what feedback you read or heard, but 96, 97, he looked like the old Verlander.
I would, if I had my choice right now between Verlander and Kershaw, and Justin's older, I'm taking Justin.
Oh, I'm taking Justin.
Easily.
I mean, there's been a lot of stuff there with Kershaw.
Well, and Justin's arm, good or bad, is new. Because he just had Tommy John.
Yeah.
Kershaw's dealt with problems that probably aren't as solvable.
But that being said, can you see any scenario where either would sign here in Minnesota?
Hell no. No,
not at all.
Can't.
I mean, would you rather them give like a 1 year all-in, $20 million contract, $20 to $25 million contract to Verlander? Or would you rather see them pony up for Robbie Ray? Like, I'd rather them just go in on Verlander. Like, Robbie Ray's a gamble. I like Robbie Ray, too. I think Robbie Ray might be the best free agent pitcher on the market. He might be able to cash in the biggest contract, I should say. But I would rather take Verlander, I think, for 1 year.
Here's what I would do. I wouldn't spend on at least big money. I wouldn't spend on a multi-year deal on any arm this winter. I would wait until next winter. Look at the list of free agent pitchers a year from now. I mean, that's Barrios, but it's Aaron Nola. It's a lengthy list a year from now, because I don't see a pathway to them really competing in 2022. I think there is a pathway to competing in 2023. So I'm going all in, starting with the 2023 season. But if you can get a guy in a 1 year deal, with Verlander, because he was tendered the qualifying offer, you're giving up some draft pick, or you're sacrificing a draft pick.
Right.
And so, you got to weigh the risk reward on such a scenario. So I don't know if I'm signing a guy that's been tendered a qualifying offer, but I can find a starting pitcher or two on a 1 year deal.
But you wouldn't sign
him. And that's where the Andrew Henne offer came in.
You wouldn't sign him, right? Because we're about to almost certainly have a lockout that's going to that actually might wipe out that draft pick compensation.
It could. You're right. We don't know exactly what that will look like.
I'm not signing any free agent right now to a multi-year contract until I know what the new CBA looks like.
That's fair. Yeah.
So, why would I sign you to a 4-year contract when the parameters of things could change completely? Like, we don't know. The only thing that we know right now, and I'm shocked it took this long to come out, is that it looks like we're going to have a lengthy work stoppage. That's all we know right now.
Yes. Okay, so starting December 1st, the question is, can they resolve their issues by, say, February 25th?
No way.
Get down to
Zero
Florida
chance.
and Arizona by March 5th?
No.
Have 3 weeks. I've always thought spring training was far too long.
Put down the hookah pipe. Put down what you're smoking, Darren, and we are in for a long work stoppage.
Yeah, probably.
Go wild, because what we need is a wild playoff run to take up the space where baseball won't be. It's not going to start.
They're capable. They're fully capable.
Oh, they're very capable.
Yeah.
They're very capable. But I'm just saying, I don't see any way that baseball I think this is going to be ugly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've been saying that for a year.
Well, these sides are...
And I get it. I don't know anybody who's saying, this will be solved by December 15th. I don't think anybody's in that boat.
Right. I think the only thing I might do is if I can get Buxton signed, which you probably can't, but if I could get Buxton signed before December 1st, I might, just because he's my player.
Mm-hmm.
But I am not going out and signing multi-year contracts with anybody. Final scoops before you go. Shoot.
Trying to think what else is on my
Go for basketball,
platter.
women's basketball. You mentioned.
Well, yeah.
before we
Well, I
started.
mean, Lindsay Whalen's recruiting class, signed on Wednesday, led by Amaya Battle. That's Jamison Battle's younger sister. Jamison is a wing on the men's team. Amaya ranked top 40 in the country by ESPN. That is a really good get. But if you look at the totality of Lindsay Whalen's 2022 recruiting class, it is going to buy her some time, because you look at that game on Tuesday, the loss at home to Jacksonville, that just can't happen. This is year 4 of the Lindsay Whalen era. We're waiting.
Sort of did happen.
We've been waiting for them to make the NCAA tournament. Maybe they don't make it this year, but this recruiting class is so good coming in next year. Lindsay has bought herself a number of years. So good job by her staff, bringing in all this talent, including all this local talent. They did miss out on the number 1 player in the state, Maya Najee. That's Zeke Najee's younger sister. She's going to Arizona. But when you get a Maya Battle, when you get some of these other girls, really good job by Whalen. On the men's basketball side, Josh Ola-Joseph, the big man who played at Osseo High School last year, a part of Ben Johnson's recruiting class, he texted me. So he went out to Prolific Prep. That's one of these prep schools out west. I believe it's where Gary Trent Jr. played a year at. Maybe he played at a different one, but they've had a number of really good players over the years. It didn't work out there. So he is now looking for a new prep school. As of now, no plans to come back and play for Osseo High School, but he is looking for a new prep school. On Pharrell Payne, the big man from Park Cottage Grove, Ben Johnson, Dave Thorson. Now, we'll see if they're right, but they think he's an NBA player. They think he's that good.
Wow.
Like, they feel like the country has slept on this kid. So we'll wait and see on that. I've heard a lot of good things, though, and then I love Braden Carrington, who they got from Park Center High School. Gophers football, Chris Altman-Bell has been practicing all week, so he, unless there's some sort of setback, today.
Throw him the damn ball then.
Yeah, well, ball control against Iowa, though. You throw the ball up, Iowa picks the ball off. Look at Iowa in terms of giveaway, takeaway.
What happened to the slant route? What, honest to God, in football, what happened to the slant?
Well,
Vikings, Gophers run more slants.
Yeah, well, the Gophers actually run a decent amount of slants. Some of the problem is Tanner's so small. You got these big defensive linemen. They get their hands up. Ball gets batted at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, great. That's great. I can't
but
wait till they run more.
They run enough slants. Vikings.
I don't think they run enough slants. I don't think for Ottman Bell. Like, I don't want other. That's fine, the rest of them. But Ottman Bell needs to be your featured guy. Last week before he got hurt, I think he had like back-to-back targets right before he got hurt. Up until then, he had like 2 targets the entire game. And they're basically deep routes. This was great stuff, Doogie. This was reckless speculation. You delivered as the head of the Reckless Speculation fan club clergy. You delivered for us, so thank you.
There's always stuff going on.
There really is.
There is.
Like you're on Tuesday, and then you come back on Thursday, and there's like new stuff. Ton of new stuff. I love it.
But yeah, I mean, behind the scenes, trust me, the Wolves are frustrated as underselling it. I can only imagine what the Wilfs are thinking right now. Yeah, the Twins are trying to do some stuff out there in California, but the sport's about to shut down. Craig Leopold is happy.
Craig Leopold's drinking some wine, and he's very happy.
Yeah, Ryan Suter back in town. Is it next Thursday?
Yeah, did you guys see last night? Dallas Stars lost to Nashville. They have not won in regulation, and they had a players-only closed-door meeting with suits in it. I'm shocked.
So he got off the ice.
I'm absolutely, he got off the ice, put the stat sheet down, and said, what's going on, guys? They said, we are not good.